In this video, I'm going to walk through the best offers to sell in 2025. If either you are an existing agency owner or you are looking to become your own boss and start your own agency, this video is going to explain exactly how you can achieve success in 2025 and beyond. So let's get into it. It all comes down to context. And this is something I see people trip up with all the time, is they take things out of context. Let me explain what I mean. So they do something because they see somebody else doing it. They emulate them without understanding the context as to why they're doing it, or the fact that the person doing it and maybe yourself, you're in two very different scenarios and situations. So what works for one person is not going to necessarily work for you or work for anybody else. And let me give you a real life example. So when I first explored and started my own online business, I got a mentor and I basically copied what my mentor was doing. He was selling a online program for about 6K. And so I did the same thing. I launched my own online coaching course and sold it for around $6,000. And when I say I sold it for around $6,000, I tried to sell it for around $6,000 and I never did. And it took me a very long time before the penny dropped and I realized that what works for my mentor, who's got bags of experience, case studies, testimonials, all that stuff, is not going to work for me because I don't have any of that. I don't have the experience. I don't have the case studies. I don't have anything to back myself up. And so I realized that what works for somebody else is not going to work necessarily for me. And that sounds really simple and really obvious, but people are doing it. Maybe not to the same levels of extremity as I was, but people are doing it day in, day out, and they're struggling to see success. And so I want to walk you through the framework that you need in order to choose the right offer, depending on the context of your current situation. So let me jump in and share my screen with you. Here we have service, we have trust, and we have acquisition or acquisition strategy. Trust is the most important thing when it comes to any form of agency service. And what we need to do is ensure that there is a direct alignment between the level of trust that we have with a prospect and the service that we're offering. So this video is all about choosing the right offer for 2025. And it's going to be different for different people, depending on context, depending on where you are in your journey. So what we need to do is understand the fact that certain acquisition systems provide different levels of trust, and different services can only really be offered with certain levels of trust. So let me give you an example. If we're looking at an agency specifically, we've got a few different things that we can offer, and excuse my handwriting, but here we've got retainer. So everybody wants to sell retainers. After working with over 300 agencies to date, I can very confidently tell you that the vast majority, 95% plus, rely exclusively on referrals to grow, which is a terrible place to be. But they rely exclusively on referrals. It means no control over the growth of your own business, which isn't a good place to be. But in terms of trust levels, referrals are probably as high as it gets. So we can draw a direct correlation between the acquisition strategy of referral. Referral is the highest trust, and most agencies sell retainers. And so they get all of their clients through referrals, therefore trust is high, therefore they are able to sell a service that requires high trust, which is a retainer. A retainer basically means give me money up front, and every single month for however long that you sign an agreement for, or however long the client chooses to stay. But basically it's give me money up front and I will deliver the service. Requires a high level of trust, which is provided through the referral. Now, let me go down to the other end of the scale, which is outreach. Now, here's what most people are doing, is they are trying to sell outreach, which as an acquisition strategy doesn't really gain any trust. You're sending out a cold DM, you're doing a cold call, you're doing a cold email, and it's a low level of trust acquisition strategy. But then what you're trying to do is jump up the trust kind of scale and sell a retainer. Any line that goes up is not impossible to do, but it makes life so difficult. So that's not what we want to do. We cannot start down here in terms of level of trust, but sell something that requires a high level of trust. So what we need to do is match our acquisition strategy with our service. So we have, for example, pay per lead. If we do outreach, trust level is low, but the trust required to sell pay per leads, to sell leads, is very low as well. So the acquisition, the trust, and the service are all in alignment. Now, if, for example, we were to get a referral, the level of trust is very high. We can still sell leads, which is great because the trust to the service, it goes down. But if it goes up, it doesn't work. If it goes down, it does work. So as long as it's either in alignment or the trust goes down to the service, it works. I hope I'm kind of making sense here. Another one. So we've got ads here. Let's say we're running paid ads. We could go here and we could probably we can get retainer clients through ads. It's going to be more difficult. It's much easier to get like pay per lead, and it's harder to go to retainers. But it is possible given the right context. But if you are starting out in business, maybe you've got 1 or 2 clients, or maybe you haven't even started your own agency at all, and you start running ads to try and get retainer clients, because there's a bit of an uphill battle, it's very difficult to do. It's much easier, much quicker, much less friction to do all of this and sell something like leads, because the level of trust required when people are simply buying leads from you is an awful lot lower than if they have to give you money up front in hope that you're going to deliver on said promises. The other option is a hybrid approach. So hybrid can obviously mean a bunch of different things, but it can be an element of done with you, done for you, pay on results, and a kind of a mixture of both. So ads can work very well with a hybrid approach. We then have things like YouTube. YouTube has, if you were to get clients through YouTube, people that have already watched videos, they already know you, they like you, they trust you, you can sell things that have high levels of trust required, like retainers. The reason I share this with you and this framework here is because there is no one-size-fits-all offer that you should be using in 2025. The offer that you should be using is all down to context and your individual situation. And it took me far too long to realize this. I was copying what all the other influencers and people that I was buying courses from, I was copying what they were doing, but they were in a completely different place to the place I was in. And sooner I realized that I need to match my service with kind of where I'm at in my agency life, the sooner I basically got good results. And what I did is I went from selling retainers to selling leads, and I went from 10K per month all the way up to $140,000 per month in just 6 months. So I went from like 15K to 30K to 50K to 70K to 80K to 140K in like 6 months. It was a whirlwind of a ride, and it's because I got this stuff in alignment. I made sure that what I was selling was basically, I had the credentials to sell it ultimately. And before, when I was selling the previous thing I was selling, I didn't really have those credentials. And to be perfectly honest, 99% of agencies don't have the credentials to sell what they're selling, which is why they can only grow through referrals. So whether you want to grow your existing agency, whether you want to start making money online and do so through an agency, make sure that you sell an offer that is in alignment with your current situation and where you're at right now in your journey. And don't be afraid to change your offer as time goes by. When you start to increase levels of trust in the market, you can start to change your service, but just understand, get the context of where you're at and make sure that you're offering something that is in alignment with that. With that being said, I hope you found this video useful. If you want to find out more about how we can help you basically get this in alignment, start selling leads to businesses instead of trying to sell retainers and not being able to, or you want to start making your first money online by selling leads to businesses, then click the link below. First link in the description is going to take you to a video where I'm walking through exactly how we can help. So thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next one.